All right, guys. Before we get started, are there any questions over any of the assignments thus far? So what we're doing today is continuing with what we started with on Friday, finding equations of lines, writing equations of lines. To from venues charge a rental fee plus a fee per student. The table shows the total cost for different number of students at Lakeside Inn. The total cost Y in dollars for X students at Sunview Resort is represented by the given equation. We want to figure out which venue charges less per student and how many students must attend for the two costs to be the same. Now, Sunview is telling us Y equals 10x plus 600. So the slope is how much it's costing per student. So Sunview is charging $10 per student and a $600 fee to rent the facilities. Now, for us to be able to tell which one is cheaper per student, we do need to figure out what the slope is. What's our change in Y over change in X, how much they're charging per student for Lakeside Inn. And to do this, we need to pick 2 points or 2 of the given information from the table. Which Y value can we choose first? 1,500. Since it's a Y value goes on top, its corresponding X value is going to go on bottom, which is 100. What other Y value can we pick? 1,800. Does it really matter which Y we pick? No. But once we pick it, we need to pick its corresponding Y value, which is 125. Now at this point, we can do one of 2 things. We can either type the whole thing in the calculator or do it by hand. Both are going to get us the exact same equation. Now 1,500 minus 1,800. 15 minus 18. And since 18 is bigger, it would be negative. So we have negative 300. 100 minus 125 is going to be negative 25. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we're really looking at 300 divided by 25. 25 goes into 100 how many times? 4. So 3 times would be 12. So the slope is 12. Or the calculator just tells us at 12. So how much is Lakeside charging per student? 12. So which one is cheaper per student? So which one charges less per student? Sunview. Sunview is cheaper per student. Because Sunview charges $10 per student. Lakeside's charging 12. So that answered the first part of the question. The second part is how many students must attend for the total cost to be the same. Now, we could try the guess and check method, plugging values in and seeing if when they get to be the same, or we can actually find out what our equation of the line is for Lakeside Inn and compare those 2 equations to each other, set them equal. Now, we're having to use point slope because they did not give us the y-intercept. So we can use point slope to find it. Now we do know that the slope is 12. So we'll plug it in for m. But we need to pick a point. We have 5 to choose from, yes? What's one y value that we could use? Yes. So we'll plug 2100 in for y, which means we plug 150 in for x. So really, we're just picking one of the 5 points to plug in. It does not matter which one we pick. I will show that here in a second. Now, the first thing I would want to make sure and check is if we have any double negatives. So we plug the y value and we get minus and negative in that spot or over near the x. We don't, so we can move on to start simplifying. On the right-hand side, we have this 12 being multiplied by our x minus 150. So we'll need to distribute the 12. 12 times x, well, that'd be 12x. Now we're going to have to multiply 12 by negative 150. Positive times a negative is still negative. So we can put the negative down. 12 times 150, well, we can, is 1800. Last but not least, we need to get y by itself, so we can do what? Because we have that minus 2100 with it. So to simplify it, we would add 2100 to both sides, because negative 2100 plus 2100 is going to be 0. Still have the 12x. So we have negative 1800 plus 2100. 21 minus 18. 3. Positive 300. So the equation for our other line is y equals 12x plus 300. For Lakeside. Question on how we got either one of these equations. And it really, again, it did not matter which y value or x corresponding x value we chose. So even if I chose 200, 2700, we'd still multiply by 12. And you don't have to write this, because 12 times x is going to be 12x. 12 times 200, 12 times 2 is 24, so this would be 2400. But instead of adding our 2100, we're now going to add 2700. These would still cancel. Y would be by itself. Y is equal to 12x. So we're adding 2700 to 2400. 27 minus 24 is still 3. And we have our 2 zeros. It still gets us to, it does not matter the point, because it is a line. It's going to be the same. We just had to pick one of the points to use. Questions on how we got this line? So we got this equation to be able to figure out how many students must attend for the costs to be the same. And really, we're comparing these two here. We're wanting to know when the y values are the same, yes? We're wanting to know when these have the same y. So really what we're doing is figuring out when 12x plus 300 is equal to 10x plus 600. We're wanting to figure out when they are the same, when they're equal. So why not just set them equal to each other and solve? We just need to get the x's on one side, y's, or really x by itself. To get x by itself, what do we do first? Our, yeah, we can minus 10x from both sides. Because we're just moving the 10x over. On the right-hand side, 10x minus 10x, 10 minus 10 is 0, so that leaves us with 600. 12x minus 10x, 12 minus 2 would be 2x plus 300. All the x's are on one side, yes? Now we need to get all the numbers to the other side. How can we do it? Same thing with 300. We minus 300. 300 minus 300 would be 0. Leave us with 2x. 600 minus 300 is 300. X's are all on one side. Numbers are all on the other, yes? Is x by itself. What do we need to do? Divide by 2. Telling us x is equal to 150. So how many students must attend for them to be the same? 150 students. If 150 students attended, which one would be cheaper? They're the same, yes? They'd be the exact same. So it's not cheaper for one or the other. Let's say 151 students attended. Which one would be the better price? Let's see. So let's start with Sunview. So we would say 10 times 151 plus 600. So if 151 students attended the prom at Sunview, it would cost $2,110. Lakeside, 12 times 151 plus 300 would be $2,112. So Sunview would be cheaper by $2, yes? So realistically, if we were picking between the two and had 151 students showing up, would it really matter? $2 more, especially if they were the exact same, there was nothing really different, we could go with Sunview and save $2. But if Lakeside had some better amenities, better things to it, $2 is probably worth it, yes? I mean, at this point, yes, it is cheaper, but realistically, $2 more, especially if you're already spending $2,000, ain't going to be a big difference between the two. But it is cheaper. Questions on how we did this here? We're ready for the next problem. All right, Maple Ridge charges a rental fee of $10 per student. The cost is $1,900 for 140 students. Describe the number of students that must attend for Maple Ridge to be cheaper than Sunview and Lakeside. It'll be nice to actually get the equation so we can compare them, yes? Now they told us the slope is 10. So we can replace 10 with m. Cost per student is our slope. We put 10 in place of m. Then they told us when x is 140, y is 1,900. When 140 students show up, it costs $1,900. We don't have any double negatives, minus a negative, so we don't have any signs that we need to fix or adjust. We just need to get y by its. So, first thing I would do is simplify this parentheses over here. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times negative 140 is negative 1,400. Then we would add 1,900 to both sides. Negative 1,900 plus 1,900 is 0, yes? We still have the 10x. Negative 1400 plus 1900 would be positive 500. I'm going to write it here. You do not have to write it here. I'm just writing it under these two. So we can kind of just have them all written out. Don't have to have it, but we're comparing these three equations, yes? And we're trying to figure out how many students must attend for Maple to be cheaper than the other two. So now it feels like we're going to have to do two different equation solving to figure out, especially comparing Sunview, Maple, and Lakeside. We don't have to actually do anything with Sunview, because Sunview's starting amount is $600, yes? Maple is 500, yes? It's already cheaper. The slope, or the cost per student for Sunview, is $10. The cost per student for Maple is $10. So the slopes are which means the two lines are going to be what? Parallel. Those two lines that have the same slope are parallel. Parallel lines never cross, never intersect. Maple's already cheaper than Sunview. Lines are parallel. There is going to be no point in which the cost for Maple is going to be greater than the cost for Sunview. The question is asking how many students must attend for Maple to be cheaper than the rest. Maple is always going to be cheaper than Sunview, no matter how many students show up. So we don't even need to consider Sunview a part of this question. We're really trying to figure out when Sunview is cheaper than Lakeside, because Lakeside starting amount is $300. Maple is $500. So if no students showed up, Maple is going to be more expensive. So we really need to figure out what is the point when they are the same, because once they're the same, anything after that should be cheaper. So what we can do is take Maple's equation, 10x plus 500, and set it equal to what? Lakeside. 12x plus 300, yes? Really, we're just trying to make up the difference between the $200 starting amount, yes? What can we do first? There's actually 4 different options for what we can start with. Because we're trying to get x's on one side, numbers on the other, yes?
Yeah. I do 10 and 12.
So,
Subtract 10 to both sides.
yeah, so we can subtract 10x from both sides. Could we subtract 12x from both sides? Yeah. Could we have subtracted 500 from both sides? Could we subtract 300 from both sides? Does it matter which one we do? No. So whichever one you see first, or whichever one you want to do first, do that first. So we could subtract 10x from both sides. And that will tell us that 500 is equal to 2x plus 300. Well, whichever one we pick first kind of restricts us to what we have to do next. Because we now have x on the same side, which means we need to move the 300. We need to subtract it from both sides. 300 minus 300 is 0. So that leaves us with 2x. 500 minus 300 is 300. And last but not least, both sides by 2. Telling us x is equal to 100. So, how many students must attend for Maple to be cheaper? 101. Because 100 students is going to be the thing. We need at least 101 students. Because anything over 101 students equal to or greater than it is going to be fine, because 102, 103, it's going to be cheaper. but we cannot have 100. 100 would be the exact same price. On the ACT, if they ask something like this here, 100 would be an answer choice. They would 100% put 100 down and see if you realize I did get 100. 100's not answering the question. 100's telling me what they're going to be the same. We need 101 before they start becoming cheaper. We don't look at 100.5 because we can't have a student come half the time and only charge them half price. If they show up at all, are going to be attending, they get the full ticket price. Does that make sense? It is not like the average number of children or number of kids that each family in the U.S. have. The average household in the U.S. has, I think last time was 3.5 number of kids. Each family has 3.5 kids. We're not counting halves. Wholes. Questions on this here? Do we feel comfortable with this here? That's it. Looking at the homework, problems 3 through 8 have 2 parts to them. Find the equation of a line, interpret the slope. So you need to find the equation of a line on 3 through 8 and write in words what the slope is saying. Okay? Number 9 is exactly like what we just did with the prom question. You need to figure out which one is cheaper per line, and then figure out how many lines it takes for the two to be the same. Number 11. Look at number 11. Number 11 is error detection, error correction. The sentence, so they have the graph there of the line. If you see the sentence below it, there is something wrong with that sentence. You need to, 1, say what's wrong with it, what they did wrong, and 2, fix it. So something is wrong with the fact that about either A, the slope that he gave, or the final amount, and then you need to correct it. If you have questions, let me know. You have the rest of the class time to work on.